Today, we're diving into the crucible, forging a competitive machine. We're heading back to 1997, which is the exact year that took a homesick 12-year-old kid from a tiny island and completely transformed him into, well, a ruthless football prodigy. Whether you follow the sport closely or you barely watch it at all, you've got to admit that the way an environment shapes a fiercely competitive mind is just absolutely fascinating. We're going to see exactly how profound isolation and struggle literally became the ultimate forge for one of the most relentless athletes the world has ever seen.
So, to really understand this transformation, we kind of need to put ourselves right in his shoes. Picture this. It's 1997 at the Funchal Airport in Madeira. You have this scrawny, super introverted 12-year-old named Cristiano Ronaldo, and he's just tightly clutching this little suitcase. He has never, ever left his isolated island before. And now, he's heading off for a trial at Sporting CP in Lisbon, which is one of Portugal's absolute most prestigious football academies. For a kid from Madeira, making that journey across the ocean to the bustling capital, it didn't just feel like moving to a new city. It felt like stepping onto a completely alien planet. The emotional stakes for him at this very moment are incredibly high.
And right before he makes his monumental leap, we get this heartbreakingly vivid detail. His mom, Dolores, is standing right there at the airport, just weeping alongside him. She knows the pure agony of sending her young son away, but she also recognizes the massive golden opportunity waiting for him across the water. So through her tears, she offers him this incredibly heavy, essential piece of advice. She tells him, "Hold on, Cristiano, your future is there." It's this profound moment of tough love and immense sacrifice, and honestly, it ends up serving as his only emotional anchor as he boards that plane to leave his childhood behind. But man, the culture shock when he landed was immediate, and frankly, it was devastating. On one side, you have this skinny, introverted 12-year-old carrying a really heavy, colloquial Madeiran accent, and on the other, he is totally surrounded by these confident, street-smart Lisbon Academy kids who are just completely in their element. The second Cristiano spoke his very first words, the room just erupted. His new teammates burst out laughing. To them, he sounded completely foreign. They relentlessly mocked his dialect, his clothes, his skinny frame. It was an immediate, crushing blow to a boy who was already way, way out of his comfort zone. I want you to think about a time when you felt truly alone in a strange place. You know, that deep, sinking feeling in your chest? For Cristiano, that feeling wasn't just fleeting. It was a constant, agonizing, physical ache of homesickness. Every single evening when the academy lights finally went out, that brave face he tried so hard to keep up would just crumble. He would literally bury his face in his pillow and sob. He missed his mom's cooking. He missed the comfort of his siblings. He missed the steep streets of Funchal. His only lifeline back to his old world was this public payphone right out there on the academy grounds. He would stand there in the dark, dropping coins into the slot, just desperately trying to connect with the one person who actually understood him.
And into that receiver, he would just cry out, "Mom, it's too hard here. They laugh at me." He would practically beg her to let him come home. It's genuinely hard not to feel a deep ache of empathy for him right here. The harsh realities of this new, unforgiving world had, for all intents and purposes, broken the young boy. Off the pitch, he was totally isolated, heavily mocked, and entirely defeated by his environment. But the very second his boots actually touched the grass, boom, the entire dynamic violently shifted. That weeping boy just completely vanished. The Sporting CP coaches took one look and immediately realized they were witnessing a once-in-a-generation prodigy. He was breathtakingly fast. He was executing these dizzying stepovers that left the older kids completely lost and confused. And above all, he had this relentless, undeniable desire to just beat defenders. He wasn't just playing a game anymore. He was playing with deep, genuine anger. He had a fierce point to prove to every single person who had laughed at him back in the dormitories. The football pitch became his absolute sanctuary. Every single insult, every laugh, every mocking comment he endured in those hallways was answered directly with a brilliant, undeniable piece of skill out on the training pitch. He was learning an incredibly vital lesson very early on. If respect wasn't going to be handed to him freely by his peers, well, he was just going to have to take it by force with his feet. The grass was the one place where his island accent didn't mean a thing. Only his output did.
And as the months rolled on, something really incredible began to happen inside him. It's honestly mind-blowing when you think about it. Those nightly tears of homesickness, they transformed. They hardened into this fierce, protective shield of pure ambition. Cristiano made a very conscious, calculated decision. He realized, okay, I can't blend in socially with these Lisbon kids, so I'm not even going to try. Instead, he chose to completely dominate them, both physically and technically.
He looked around and saw that the older academy players were stronger, heavier, and way more muscular. And he decided right then and there that he was going to fix his frail frame so nobody could ever push him off the ball again. His dedication to this bordered on obsessive. Long after the supervisors went to sleep, this 12-year-old kid would sneak out of his bed and quietly make his way down to the academy gym in the dead of night. And if the doors happened to be locked, he didn't just shrug and go back to sleep. No way. He would sneak back to his room, fill buckets up with water, grab the heaviest books he could find, and use them as makeshift weights. He would drop to the floor and do hundreds of push-ups and sit-ups until his muscles were literally screaming and burning. That severe loneliness he felt wasn't crushing him anymore. It had officially become his ultimate fuel. What's absolutely crucial to take away from this whole era is that this is the exact period his mindset shifted from amateur to professional. Leaving Madeira might have broken the boy, but the brutal reality of Lisbon was forging the man. He realized he was no longer just some talented kid playing football for fun. He was a young professional on a highly serious mission. He saw a direct path to rescue his family from poverty back on that island, and he was entirely willing to suffer whatever physical or emotional pain was necessary to make that happen. The Sporting CP Academy had absolutely no idea, but that crying kid was rapidly evolving into a ruthless, unstoppable force. Which brings us to a pretty powerful, provocative question to leave you with today. Does extreme adversity break us, or is it sometimes the absolute only way to truly forge a ruthless, competitive machine? When we look back at this chapter of his life, it's wild to see how dealing with intense bullying, deep isolation, and massive imposter syndrome didn't destroy his potential. Instead, it acted as the ultimate catalyst for his self-improvement and phenomenal success. It really makes you wonder about the heavy obstacles in your own life, right? Like, are those agonizing challenges actually the very things training you for greatness? Well, thank you so much for joining me